Wow. Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions.
Namaste y bienvenidos, amados poderosos compañeros.
Yay, we got Maria.
Tenemos a María.
Oh my gosh. It was so hilarious last week. I posted, of course, we're on the rocket ship to heaven, okay?
La semana pasada puse que íbamos en el cohete hacia el cielo.
And someone wrote, well, I don't need a rocket ship
Y alguien escribió, yo no necesito un cohete,
because it's all here.
porque todo está aquí.
Yes, it is all here, but if you're not experiencing infinite joy,
Pero claro que todo está aquí, pero si tú no estás experimentando infinito gozo,
I certainly would want a rocket ship to get there pretty darn fast.
preferiría tener un cohete que me llevara rápidamente hacia allá.
As fast as Jesus can get me there.
Lo más rápido que Jesús me pueda llevar.
So go for God. So it was just such a fun metaphor to use, and everybody enjoyed that kind of rocket ship thing going on.
Y fue una muy gran metáfora que usamos y que fue muy útil.
Because I mean, what a great symbol of why wait and working with Jesus to get to the direct awareness.
Y qué buena experiencia trabajar directamente con Jesús para mirar el despertar directamente con Él.
Jesus is so clear about how the ego can completely misuse every single line of A Course in Miracles or every spiritual teaching.
Y Jesús nos muestra cómo el ego puede usar cualquier enseñanza como el curso de milagros o cualquier otra enseñanza para crear falsamente.
And then they'll say, okay, whatever's appearing, this is it.
Y cualquier cosa que esté apareciendo, simplemente eso es.
Whatever's appearing is called, this is chosen experience.
Cualquier cosa que aparezca ahí es una experiencia deseada.
Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about why is it that some miracles seem more difficult than others.
Y hoy vamos a ver por qué algunos milagros parecen más difíciles que otros.
And when you see that they're not, how happy you ridiculously are.
Y si tú no estás completamente feliz, ridículamente feliz, es porque tú sí crees en eso.
But if we can admit and see that this is what the ego does not want to see.
Pero tú puedes admitir, y porque eso es lo que el ego no quiere ver.
No order of difficulties of miracles.
Que no hay grado de dificultad en los milagros.
We always have 100% opportunity, 100% to celebrate all the love of God right now without exception.
Y porque nosotros tenemos la oportunidad de celebrar el amor infinito de Dios aquí mismo, sin ninguna excepción.
Whatever seemingly appearing in form.
Cualquier cosa que esté, independiente de cualquier cosa que esté apareciendo en la forma.
Someone, they're saying, okay, whatever feels happy, sad, whatever's appearing in form, this is it. No, it's not.
Cualquier cosa que aparezca en la forma, felicidad, tristeza, no, esto no es.
Thank goodness.
Gracias a Dios.
Okay. Thank goodness. The infinite love does not move and change. It celebrates.
Porque el amor infinito no se mueve, es celebración.
Okay. Happiness, and unless use Jesus's definition, only accept Jesus's definition of awakening.
O felicidad, pero no acepte ninguna definición que no sea la de Jesús de despertar.
Happiness, supreme happiness, 24/7. How about that one?
¿Qué tal esta? Suprema felicidad 7/24.
Why is that important?
¿Por qué esto es tan importante?
For tonight's talk together. Why is that important for tonight's talk?
¿Por qué esto es tan importante para la charla de esta noche?
Because if you can't differentiate what is a twitch and what is peace, how are
Porque
you
tú
going to
no
know?
puedes, pues, porque tú no puedes diferenciar qué es una molestia y de qué es estar en paz, porque tú no sabes.
Okay. Because it says in a course, you have to at least be able to tell, I am not at peace.
Porque como dice en el curso, por a lo menos podemos darnos cuenta que no estamos en paz.
But that requires a self-honesty. We call it honesty of God.
Pero eso requiere autohonestidad. Nosotros la llamamos honestidad de Dios.
Honesty of God, not the world's honesty.
Honestidad de Dios, no la honestidad del mundo.
Okay. You know, in the world's honesty, you go to the court and tell the truth about what happened.
Y porque en la honestidad del mundo es ir a contar qué pasó.
In Jesus's court, a higher truth, you admit nothing happened.
Y Jesús nos está llevando a una honestidad superior donde nos dice, nada pasó.
But you have to watch your mind enough to see.
Pero tú tienes que limpiar tu mente suficientemente para ver.
To admit when you're not at peace. Step one.
Para admitir cuando tú no estás en paz. Ese es el paso número 1.
Because the ego is going to sing a song and tell you that is happiness. It's brutal.
Porque el ego va a cantar una canción y decir que eso es felicidad. Realmente es brutal.
So it's so essential, first of all, for miracles.
Es muy esencial entonces para los milagros.
To at least be able to tell you, I am not at peace.
Que al menos te des cuenta que no estás en paz.
Okay, so you have to start with the 2 most important things that are your function.
Entonces debemos empezar con las 2 cosas más importantes que son tu función.
Well, a couple of things in here, but 2 things that we have to Jesus had me show me, here's my role. I had to get what his role was and what my role was.
Y algún otro par de cosas, pero aquí vamos a ver cuál es el rol de Jesús y cuál es mi rol.
And my role was to go, okay, Jesus, I've got a twitch.
Y mi rol era ir a donde Jesús y decirle, tengo una molestia.
I'm not at peace.
No estoy en paz.
I am willing to see this differently.
Estoy dispuesto a ver esto de manera diferente.
Okay, so the second part of it, I am willing to see it differently.
Entonces la segunda parte de esto, estar dispuesto a ver esto diferente.
And I really mean it.
Y realmente significar lo que realmente signifique eso para ti.
Is the biggest hang up of why some miracles seem easier than others.
Y esa es la parte por la cual algunos milagros son más difíciles que otros.
When it is a must for you to get your miracle, nothing on this planet will ever stop you from having it. It's yours.
Cuando está el debo obtener estos milagros, porque el milagro es tuyo.
So the challenge is that below your level of awareness, there's this thing called unwillingness. And I think not having a miracle is a better deal than having a miracle.
Pero vemos que por debajo del nivel de conciencia hay la creencia de no estar dispuestos a admitir el milagro.
And that is where you have to let your job of wanting a miracle and be really sincere about no matter what, you're going to get your miracle.
Y por eso es donde tienes que ser muy sincero y no importa qué requieras, vas por tu milagro.
Because here's the play in consciousness. The ego is going to tell you every reason why you're going to hell if you accept that miracle.
Porque miren aquí el juego, el ego te va a decir que es ir al infierno aceptar cualquier milagro.
It loves doing that.
El ego le encanta hacer eso. Pregúntale a Jesús.
Okay. So you got to say no to that and say, no, I have a twitch and I'm going to get my miracle. Jesus, will you help me go all the way?
Entonces vamos a decir, tengo una molestia, Jesús, voy por mi milagro y ayúdame a ir, Jesús, todo el camino.
Okay, because there's a question on one of the forums about Gary was asking a question going, well, why does it seem like these things keep cropping up?
Y en uno de los foros Gary preguntaba por qué esto vuelve y que surge.
I thought I had forgiven it.
Yo pensé que esto ya lo había perdonado.
Because somewhere below the level of an awareness, not having a miracle has more value than getting the miracle.
Porque algo por debajo del nivel de conciencia me dice que es más valioso no obtener milagro que obtenerlo.
Okay, so this is where Jesus's function and speaking to Jesus directly is so helpful in miracles.
Y por eso es que la función de Jesús y en la dirección de los milagros es tan necesaria.
You know, he says in a course, basically, how can you be the one who decides which miracles you need when you're the one who decided not to have miracles? How can you be involved in that?
Y él lo dice en el curso, ¿cómo nosotros podemos involucrarnos cuando nosotros somos los que no queremos los milagros?
Okay, you can just know, okay, I have a twitch, I'm not at peace, there's a contraction, there's unhappiness, whatever, anything other than happiness appearing in my awareness right now.
Y cuando vemos que hay una molestia o cualquier cosa que no estemos en paz en nuestra conciencia ahora mismo.
And Jesus says, join with me in a moment of light.
Y Jesús dice, únete a mí en un momento de luz.
He does not say, start telling me everything about what you're feeling and thinking right now and all the problem you think you have.
Y él nos dice, cuéntame toda la historia de lo que te está pasando.
Okay? Because if you step back and go, show me, which is his function.
Y si tú te haces atrás y dices, Jesús, muéstrame.
See, the way he has to train you in what a miracle is and how to get one.
Porque Jesús te tiene que enseñar qué es un milagro y cómo obtener uno.
You know, and I've said this about the course, like, you know, I realized after talking to Jesus, it became a course in all the places where I did not want a miracle.
Y él me tuvo que mostrar a mí todos los lugares en mi mente donde no quería un milagro.
Because consciousness is a deny miracles device. I'm going to deny myself miracles.
Porque la conciencia es una máquina de negar los milagros.
So the challenge is, and I get it because I just assume, well, I know what a miracle is. Oh, yes, I do.
Y el reto es porque yo decía, no, yo sé que es un milagro.
Yes, it is a change in a perception. Yes, that comes in when you change your mind, your perception changes. Yes.
Cuando tu mente cambia de percepción, tú cambias de percepción.
But it's highly instructive to go in and get coached directly to Jesus and have him show you, and like he did for me, here's where you have heaven and hell upside down in your mind and don't want a miracle.
Pero él fue muy útil para mí que él me mostrara dónde tenía invertido el cielo y el infierno y dónde no quería los milagros.
And then we're telling him, here's the miracle I need.
Y nosotros queremos decir a Jesús que mira el milagro que aquí se requiere.
And it's very illuminating. If you really want miracles and get the miracle engine going.
Pero es muy iluminador. Si tú quieres que la máquina de los milagros, el motor de los milagros se prenda,
then be devoted to having him coach you.
Tienes que ser devoto a que él sea tu entrenador.
To which miracle you need.
En qué milagros se requieren.
When to do it. So there's which miracle, the timing, and how to unwind your mind from not getting a miracle.
Cuándo se debe llevar a cabo el milagro, el tiempo, y dónde no se requiere, dónde no quieres el milagro.
We know he says in a course, miracles are natural.
Porque él lo dice en el curso, los milagros son naturales.
If you're not getting the miracle, then something's gone wrong.
Si no estás obteniendo los milagros es porque algo está pasando mal.
Not in terms of giving yourself a hard time, but in terms that you not got to talk to.
No en términos de pasar un mal rato, sino en términos de...
Jesus, there he is. Okay, we got to talk to you know who.
Tenemos que hablar con
To the one who knows.
Con el que sabe.
It's humbling.
Es humilde.
But it's happy humbling because as soon as you've seen it, and I had to see it a bunch of times.
Pero es humildemente feliz porque yo lo tuve que ver muchas veces.
To be how determined to get that miracle sometimes that I had to be.
Cuán determinado debe estar a obtener el milagro.
Because not having a miracle is more valued below my level of awareness than getting that miracle.
Porque debajo de mi nivel de conciencia es más valioso no obtener el milagro que obtenerlo.
So why do some seem difficult? Because there's some we just don't want to have, because we don't want to see the truth.
¿Por qué son difíciles los milagros? Porque nosotros no queremos ver la verdad.
You know, if we're the ones that are so deluded, we need him to cut through that with the Jesus sword.
Pero nosotros que estamos tan engañados necesitamos a Jesús que venga y corte esto con su espada.
And part of getting enough trust with him to trust him on which miracles you need is following.
Y permitir que él guíe los milagros y confiar en él, eso es seguirlo.
Because in Course in Miracles, Jesus said, when you don't follow, it's avoiding healing. You're trying to wheeze out of healing.
Porque él dice en el curso de milagros que no escucharlo es evadir la sanación.
Because again, when he's asking you to do something, you can do anything I ask.
Porque cuando él nos pide que hagamos algo, tú puedes hacer cualquier cosa que yo te pida.
He says that because you're used to doing, and the ego uses different doings to deny power, divine power.
Porque el ego quiere usar estos haceres para negar nuestro divino poder.
So he's trying to get you to do something that's going to help you see something, see the truth.
Y entonces él te está guiando a hacer algo para que veas la verdad.
How you believe your happiness is in doing something or not doing something.
¿Cómo crees que tu felicidad está en hacer algo o no hacer algo?
So the reason they don't, because miracles are instantaneous, except the correction is like that. When you change your mind that not having a miracle is no longer, you don't give yourself an option not to have a miracle.
Pero los milagros ocurren así, pero cuando no te das la opción de negarte los milagros.
So if the miracle's not appearing, it's only because there's some kind of backdoor option that the ego's keeping to keep some part of its little kingdom.
Y si los milagros no están ocurriendo fácilmente es porque hay una puerta trasera que el ego está utilizando para mantener su reino.
And there's some kind of belief that there's a greater value in blocking the miracle.
Y hay alguna clase de valor en creer que bloquear los milagros
than accepting a miracle.
Que aceptar los milagros.
Because the ego has the world upside down. It's saying that if I accept a miracle, I'm going to hell, and not having miracle is heaven.
Porque el ego tiene invertido el cielo y el infierno y creemos que obtener los milagros nos lleva al infierno.
And that you learn from working directly with the one who knows to coach you which miracles you need and where in the subconscious mind you do not want a miracle and you're holding out on yourself.
con el que donde estamos negando los milagros en nuestra mente subconsciente.
Can you repeat that? You just buzzed out for a moment. Did we lose you, Maria? She's having a little bit of challenge.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Y ir con el que sabe para que nos muestre. Just a moment. Okay, we can go. Say again, Kay. Sorry, I lost the.
Well, it's, you've got to have him show you where you do not want miracles. That's really the bottom line, that you want not to have a miracle worse than you want the miracle. Okay, Maria. Can you move closer to your router, Maria?
Yeah, I'm nearby the router. Okay, can you say again the last, because I lost the idea.
So he's got to show you where you're confused at a subconscious level and don't want the miracle.
Porque él te tiene que mostrar dónde se está invirtiendo en tu mente subconsciente en los el cielo y el infierno.
Where in your subconscious mind you think it's heaven not to have the miracle, not to have love.
Donde en tu mente subconsciente crees que no obtener el milagro es el cielo y no es el cielo.
And that it's heaven, that it's hell, you're going to go right to hell because of that miracle. That's like.
Y que es el infierno, no, obtener el milagro.
So in the mind, it's turned upside down that getting a miracle is hell.
En
That's
la
profound.
mente está invertido el cielo y el infierno, que obtener el milagro es el infierno.
So that's why in the light circles, we ask Jesus when he's coaching us through the miracles, Jesus, am I ready for a miracle?
Por eso necesitamos en los círculos de luz que Jesús nos entrene con relación a los milagros. Jesús, ¿estoy listo para el milagro?
And I heard him, I'd ask him, am I ready for a miracle? He'd go, no. And I go.
Y le pregunto entonces a Jesús, ¿estoy lista para el milagro? Y él dice, no.
And at first you go, he's withholding miracles from me. Jesus is the one keeping me from miracles.
No, es que Jesús es el que me está evitando recibir el milagro.
No.
Ok. Perfecto.
Is Clarette going to jump on?
Yes. Wonderful.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's so great. Yeah, we're glad to have you, Maria, though.
Okay.
Oh, there she is. Clarette.
Okay.
Hi. Hola.
Gracias, Clarette.
No, gracias a ustedes.
Yeah, glad to have you. So let me turn her up a little here so we can hear. You might, if you get a little closer to the mic.
Okay.
So yeah, we're talking about miracles, Clarette. How good is that?
That's great. Sounds good.
Okay. So we're talking about how we need Jesus to show us, coach us where we don't want miracles. Isn't that helpful?
Definitely. Do you want me to start translating?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, sure. Okay. Estamos hablando de cómo Jesús nos guía para ver cómo queremos negar los milagros.
Okay, so it's so helpful in the light circles where you're learning to be coached by Jesus with how to go through and work through miracles with him.
Y es muy poderoso ver con la luz que nos enseña Jesús, cómo nos va guiando Jesús para ver la manera de ir viendo los milagros, perdón.
So you don't get mad when he says, well, ego at first might get mad, why can't I have my miracle? It'll do stuff like that.
Y cómo nos ponemos molestos y cómo, bueno, el ego se pone molesto y así como que, bueno, porque no tengo el milagro que yo quiero como yo lo quiero.
Do not underestimate how much the ego would love to get involved in the miracle giving and holding business.
Y no subestimemos cómo el ego nos manipula y cómo se aferra a no querer los milagros y
It
cómo seguir
loves
haciendo
to,
sus cosas.
it loves to tell you which miracles to have and why you can't have them and all this kind of stuff.
Y cómo quiere el ego estarnos diciendo qué milagros debemos tener y cómo los debemos tener y todas las cosas.
Do not talk to the fox that's guarding the hen house, okay?
Y hablándolo como con hechos de cómo es y cómo se hacen.
Okay, you want to talk to this one with honesty of God, meaning total self-honesty. I am totally willing to see what you're going to show me, Jesus. If I am blocking myself from a miracle, please show me.
Y debemos hablar con total honestidad con Jesús y decirle, Jesús, enséñame que si me estoy bloqueando a obtener un milagro, por favor, muéstramelo.
So if you're in a light circle and you ask, am I ready for a miracle? And you hear no, do you sing the Hallelujah chorus?
Y en este círculo de luz es una manera para que nos pueda guiar a que podamos obtener el milagro.
Okay, let me see if it'll play for us. Maybe not. Well, I'll fix that. Let's see. Okay,
Okay.
it sounds like this in case you forgot. No, it doesn't sound like anything today. Okay. Well, in your mind, sing like an angel if he tells you.
Está arreglando algo del sonido.
Okay, because it's happy news when he tells you when you are not willing to accept a miracle, because then he can really coach you and show you where in your mind you're blocking it.
Porque Jesús te puede enseñar dónde exactamente, en qué parte de tu mente estás bloqueándote.
Miracles are always up to you.
Los milagros siempre son una elección tuya.
Always up to you within your complete power to accept.
Siempre son una elección tuya aceptar los milagros.
Okay, so when Jesus says you're not ready for a miracle, that just means there's more to see in the subconscious mind that's actually blocking miracles from happening.
Y cuando Jesús te dice que todavía no estás listo para recibir el milagro, es porque tienes que seguir viendo en la mente subconsciente para que pueda suceder.
So then we step back. So the egos might say something about it, but don't. You just step back and say, okay, what else do I need to see? There's something else to be seen here.
Y en ese momento simplemente damos un paso atrás y decimos, bueno, ¿qué más tengo que ver aquí?
And you keep your full attention on him and his voice and you stand back, and then he can show you the play in consciousness where you have heaven and hell flipped.
Y entonces ahí, dando ese paso atrás, Jesús te va a mostrar claramente en dónde te estás bloqueando, dónde estás haciendo esa mezcla de el cielo y el infierno, dónde los estás.
He shows you where you value not having a miracle more than getting your miracle.
Y te va a enseñar dónde estás valorando más no obtener el milagro que obtener el milagro.
And then if you work with him enough, of course, what's the conclusion going to be?
Y por supuesto, si trabajas con él, ¿cuál crees que va a ser la conclusión?
No order of difficulty of miracles.
No hay ningún orden de dificultad en los milagros.
And when you get that, like when that gets grokked in the mind, that is, you just see you're on the path to happiness, see?
Y cuando sucede eso es cuando ya estás como en el camino de la felicidad.
Because you're accepting the power you have to no longer deny yourself love. Because every time there's a twitch, you're going to go, oh, I can work with Jesus right here, right now, get my miracle. And you get in there and get your miracle.
Porque ahí te das cuenta del poder que tienes, de que eres tú mismo el que te estás negando el poder, el amor. Y en ese momento tú dices, cuando vuelve a suceder, simplemente dices, puedo ver profundo y obtener mi milagro.
So we don't even know where we're denying miracles.
Porque ni siquiera sabemos en dónde estamos negando los milagros.
We have to admit we do not know which miracles we need.
Porque tenemos que admitir que no sabemos cuáles son
And
los
the
milagros que
ego
necesitamos.
is one big fat time waster with trying to tell, I did it so many times, to tell Jesus, here's what the problem is, Jesus.
Y el ego siempre está diciendo, aquí es donde está el problema, Jesús, mira acá.
Here's why I'm upset. And it loves that story and living inside that story and giving Jesus, telling him the whole problem.
Y le encanta molestarse y meterse dentro del problema y decirle a Jesús, mira, aquí es donde está el problema, resuélvelo. Aquí es donde hay que resolverlo.
Okay, so not only he's here to help us save time on getting those miracles by helping washing our mind of all that delusion, first of all, that we can't accept miracles.
Y empieza a lavarnos el cerebro, a lavarnos la mente, a manipularnos. Aquí es donde está.
You ask Jesus whether there's a desire below your level of awareness to feel that miracles are out of your control.
Y ahí es donde debemos mantenernos y preguntarle a Jesús, Jesús, dinos tú cuál es el milagro, porque los milagros están fuera de nosotros.
It's humbling. You know, oh, I can't, I'm too, because it loves, consciousness loves the experience of being weak and powerless.
Porque el juego de la conciencia, la conciencia le gusta el juego de sentirse débil y sin poder.
Ask him if there's a play. Jesus, is there a play in consciousness to be helpful? So helpless, I can't even get a miracle here. Does it love it?
Jesús, me encanta el juego de la conciencia de sentirme débil y desvalido.
The entire consciousness is to be weak and helpless and powerless, a divine being who's going to pretend like it's weak, helpless, powerless.
Porque a la conciencia entera le gusta el juego de sentirse débil y sin poder.
Oops. Can you speak again, Clarette? We lost sound. A second. Are you there? We lost her. Let's see.
Poder y sin esperanzas.
There we go. Got her.
Yes,
we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. En español ¿se me escuchó la traducción?
No.
Ok, bueno, lo último que estaba diciendo acá era que a la conciencia le gusta mucho el juego de sentirse débil, desvalido y desesperanzado. Esa fue la última parte.
So I'll emphasize it again. Do not underestimate how much you in the play of consciousness do not actually want miracles.
Nunca subestimemos el poder de esta parte de la conciencia de querer jugar a que no quiere milagros.
It's not to beat yourself up, because the ego would love to do that. It's just to have an awareness that there's a lot of subterranean content that denies miracles in there.
Es tener conciencia y estar pendiente de que hay muchos.
Well, we know it because otherwise we'd all be dancing supremely happy, except all the miracles.
Hay como mucha densidad en esos pensamientos para querer negar los milagros.
Somehow, Clarette, you're cutting in and out. Not sure what that is.
Oh, I'm here. I don't know if you're listening to me.
Okay. Do you have a headset by chance?
Yes, let me try that. But
yeah. Sometimes if there's background noise, it'll just, block what your people
very
are
silence here, but I will try with the headset.
Okay, very good. We'll try it. Sure.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, you sound good.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
problem solved.
You're visiting. That sounds wonderful.
Okay, good.
So that's really the key to miracles. That event is admitting I don't know how to get them really, because I don't know all the places I don't want them.
Porque el ego está diciendo que no sé
That's-
dónde están los bloqueos de los milagros y no los quiero.
That's why guidance is so essential, because guidance is showing you the places where miracles are being denied.
Por eso es que la guía es tan importante, porque la guía es la que te está enseñando dónde buscar en tu mente el lugar donde se están negando los milagros.
That's why the ego gets stark raving mad sometimes over guidance.
Y por eso es que el ego, ahí es donde el ego se comienza a molestar cuando escuchamos la guía.
Okay, because it's going to expose the areas in the mind where miracles are denied, and it wants to keep not having miracles.
Porque la guía empieza a exponer los lugares donde se están negando los milagros y el ego quiere seguir negándolos.
So it is a course of miracles after all, so it'd be very good for us to be able to learn how we're blocking miracles, the natural state.
Y al final esto es un curso de milagros y la idea es que podamos ver qué es lo que está bloqueando los milagros para poder tenerlos.
So in the light circles, when Jesus says, okay, you're not ready for a miracle.
Entonces, en los círculos de luz, cuando Jesús nos dice que no estamos listos para el milagro,
Look, and you just go, okay, Jesus, that's it.
Entonces tú dices, ok, Jesús,
Show me more.
muéstrame más.
When you have to get neutral on this, the ego's going to do it. Ignore the ego. It's a neutral conversation between you and Jesus where you're learning things. He's teaching you things.
Y la idea es que podamos tener una conversación neutral con Jesús, entre tú y Jesús, sin que el ego intervenga.
Okay, it's like when the pilot, the co-pilot, and the navigator on a plane, and they're going to Cincinnati from New York.
Es como cuando el piloto y el copiloto y está el navegador están volando desde Cincinnati hasta Nueva York.
And the navigator plots the chart and he goes, you got to go 2 inches to the left or whatever, you know.
Y el navegador nos dice, bueno, tienes que moverte 2 pulgadas a la derecha o lo que sea.
Or the control tower says, go 1,000 feet higher so you don't nail the plane next to you.
O te dice que tienes que subir 200 pies y para que no te estrelles contra el otro avión.
It's a good practice. They listen and they follow. Good idea.
Es una buena práctica. Ellos escuchan y ellos lo siguen. Es una buena idea.
Okay, so are we willing to believe, at least believe it? If we don't see it yet, we can at least believe that Jesus is going to have a better idea to know when you're going to crash into another plane better than you do. Is there any?
Sorry, it's just that's such a good example. Es solo que si podemos de verdad escuchar la guía de Jesús, de que Jesús nos está guiando de verdad para que no nos estrellemos contra otro avión.
Like, wouldn't it be totally helpful that he might know better than we do about that?
Y es que de verdad o sea, si podemos de verdad entender que nos va a guiar por donde es en verdad.
I'm just seeing, because I can see, even though when I was first talking to him, I could see, like, I wasn't like totally going like, I can see how it's just the whole thing's made to kind of block that he knows something more than we do.
Sorry, I lost you, Kate.
Well, the whole consciousness is made so that to block in the mind that he knows much more than we know.
Y la conciencia completa se queda como impresionada de que, ok, él sabe mucho más de lo que todos nosotros sabemos.
Oh my gosh. And the number of times he after, I didn't see this at the time because I didn't get after like 8 years. I mean, that he really needs to guide all the miracles.
Y después de incluso 8 años en la práctica, puedo decir que él es el que realmente sabe cómo guiarnos para tener los milagros.
So you just ask him, you can all talk and just go, Jesus, should I direct any miracle whatsoever? Yes or no?
Y le podemos preguntar a Jesús, ¿debo yo guiar para obtener cualquier milagro, sí o no. Por supuesto,
Because
vamos a
I
decir que no.
thought I know, I knew because I was a coach and I knew how to get rid of every single belief. See, I knew all that.
Porque puedo empezar a decir como que, bueno, yo soy muy buena guía y yo sé cómo obtener el milagro y sacar todos los obstáculos.
Oh my gosh, the ego gets such hold of this. It gets hold of this and goes, I know what miracles are and I know which ones I need and all that stuff.
Porque el ego va a insistir en yo sé cómo llegar al milagro, yo sé cuáles son los milagros, yo sé cómo llegar allá.
The only thing that counts is that you go back to him and ask him, Jesus, did the healing fully occur?
Y lo único que nos va a ayudar es que le continuemos preguntando a Jesús y nos lleve al milagro.
Somehow, I guess for the following, it locked into my mind that I had to check in with him every time I was working with him to make sure there wasn't, that he told me whether there was any scraps left.
Y hay que mantenerse constantemente, en todo momento, seguirle preguntando a Jesús para que no vayamos a cometer el error de seguir bloqueando el amor.
The value of him telling you whether there's any left, that there's none left of it.
Lo valioso que es de cuando Jesús nos dice que ya no hay más nada que ver y ya está
Like, how can we have
liberado.
A pristine mind, a fully purified mind, unless he shows us that we're not being dishonest with ourselves in any way? It's zero to self-dishonesty.
De que Jesús nos pueda enseñar eso precioso en nuestra mente que está completamente puro y de que no hay más nada que esté negando el amor.
So there's a couple of things here. We started talking about Gary and he's going, well, how come it keeps coming back up? Remember that?
Y es como lo que estábamos hablando con Gary, que cómo van saliendo nuevas cosas y se mueven como hacia arriba. ¿Recuerdan eso?
And the part of the course goes, does the healing need to be repeated? And it says no.
Y es en la parte del curso donde dice que si la sanación necesita ser repetida y dice que no.
So all that means is it can reflect a couple of things, but one of them is that there's still scraps of value in not fully cleaning the miracle out, cleaning that windshield.
Y hay varias cosas que tomar en cuenta para esto. La primera sería que puede haber más cosas que ver abajo. Es como que se necesite un parabrisas para limpiarlo nuevamente.
See, once the mind locks down on no order of difficulties and miracles.
Hay que recordar que no hay ningún orden no hay mayor nivel de dificultad en los milagros.
I'm responsible for everything I see.
Soy responsable por todo lo que veo.
Which, by the way, we're going to have a session on next week.
Que por cierto, vamos a tener una sesión de eso la próxima semana.
How that's like the gateway to supreme happiness.
Y cómo esa es una de las puertas que hay que abrir para dejar de suprimir la felicidad.
It's like you lock down on Jesus, you see he's going to show you which miracles you need. You're going to refuse to accept anything other a miracle.
Y cómo le pedimos a Jesús para ser guiados por Jesús, que nos muestre todo y cómo vamos decididos a obtener el milagro.
See, the ego is a play of all, 650,000 ways to avoid a miracle.
Y el ego es simplemente un juego de las 600,000 maneras de cómo obstaculizar un milagro.
So they linger because it's a treasure down there.
Y el milagro es como un tesoro abajo de todo eso.
Okay, it's a treasure down there.
Es un tesoro debajo de todo.
Okay, you can see this. Here's the little purple circle. That's the miracle impulse. It's like it's like the wedding band is round. It's it's continual circle of love. You could look at it that way. Miracle impulses.
Si ven el círculo morado, es como, son los impulsos del milagro, es como algo circular que va sucediendo una y otra vez.
I just realized we don't have this in Spanish, so I'm going to read it out so that Clarette can translate it, okay?
Ok, y no tenemos esta lámina, esta presentación en español, pero ahí la va a leer y la voy a traducir.
Okay, you could think of miracle impulses for our discussion. They're just continual expressions of love, always available to be seen.
Podemos ver que el continuo, los impulsos de los milagros es algo que podemos empezar a ver.
And then that's the purple loop going. That's your miracle, just always available, okay? Always natural to you.
Y eso es algo que siempre está disponible, es algo natural para nosotros.
So you can see that there's this arrow kind of pointing up to the right here, and where there's a decision in the mind, I'm going to divert that impulse. I'm going to blind myself.
Y podemos ver que ahí está una de las flechas amarillas que hace como que se interrumpa ese círculo, ese circuito de morado de los impulsos de los milagros que hace que escojamos otra cosa.
Because in my mind, I'm going to make it reads at the top there, accepting miracles, love, and guidance is misperceived as hell, loss, sacrifice, punishment.
Entonces, aceptando los milagros, el amor y la guía, tiene una mala interpretación, como que si eso fuera el infierno o estar perdido o el sacrificio o el castigo.
Okay, exactly what he says in A Course in Miracles, love is hell.
Tal como lo dice el Curso de Milagros, que interpretamos el amor como si fuera el infierno.
And we can talk about the Course in Miracles as much as we want, but there is nothing quite like having Jesus show this to you in your mind.
Y el Curso de Milagros nos muestra todo, nos muestra mucho más de lo que podemos ver, pero nada como escuchar la guía de Jesús.
Okay, so if we look down here at the bottom, that part of what holds that together is the addiction to guilt, pain, and suffering, the yellow words, guilt, pain, and suffering. Addiction.
Y abajo podemos ver las palabras de adicción a la culpa, el dolor y el sufrimiento.
Now in the light circles, we call this the little, you'd see this little golem down here, golem.
Y en los círculos de luz llamamos esto como ese pequeño golem que está adicto a todo este sufrimiento.
Smeagol. Little Smeagol down there. And he's, go ahead.
No, el pequeño Smeagol, no, I don't know how the name in Spanish for Smeagol, but
that's okay.
I think that people is understanding who are
yeah, we'll call him Gollum. You recognize these from Lord of the Rings. And you see how he loved that little gold ring. You can see him with it, precious.
Y podemos ver a este personaje del Señor de los Anillos que está así como valorando muchísimo esa adicción, así como su precioso, como dice en la película.
Precioso.
Precioso, exactly.
Okay. All right. And that's what we think pain is precious.
Y así es como el ego interpreta que el dolor es lo más preciado.
And so we take you can see this big arch of a yellow arrow pointing down. We make a big dive into the dream bubble, if you know the dream bubble diagram, so we can hide from the truth from ourselves that we're choosing all of this.
Y podemos ver la otra flecha amarilla que nos lleva como a la burbuja de la ilusión que lo hemos estado viendo en los círculos de luz.
So the true power of being coached by Jesus is for him to show you where you have a little Schmeagol down there going, precious, with hell, guilt, and suffering.
Y lo preciado de esto es que podemos tener la guía de Jesús mostrándonos dónde está ese Gollum, como el personaje del Señor de los Anillos, valorando esas adicciones para negar el milagro.
Precioso dolor.
El precioso dolor. Well, I already say it in Spanish.
Is that how you say it? Maybe I'm wrong. Precious
No, no.
pain?
Yes, precious pain.
Precioso. Okay, and with the Spanish accent, it really gives it some power.
Y con el acento en español le da como un cierto poder.
Because that is what's happened down there. English can never be as good as Spanish.
Y eso es lo que está pasando como debajo de esto, de que el ego va valorando ese dolor.
Okay. Because we love it. And so to be coached by Jesus and see how pain, suffering, guilt is loved below our level of awareness.
Y al estar guiados por Jesús es como nos vamos dando cuenta cómo estamos adictos y cómo estamos valorando tanto la culpa, el dolor y el sufrimiento.
Why do some miracles seem more difficult than others?
¿Por qué creemos que algunos milagros son más difíciles que otros?
Because the little precioso down there thinks it's precious. Precious.
Por ese pequeño, ese pedazo del ego que está diciendo que lo valora mucho y le dice precioso.
All right. And it's the dive here into the dream bubble of desire. I desire an experience other than God. Desire at the top.
Y aquí es donde estamos en la burbuja de la ilusión, donde tenemos todos esos deseos que son deseos para negar el amor de Dios.
And we do have this diagram in Spanish, and we will put it, I'll ask Lena if she'll put it again in the WhatsApp group. If you haven't seen it.
Y si no han visto este diagrama, lo voy a volver a colocar en el grupo de WhatsApp.
Okay, it's a swan dive. We do the swan dive into the dream bubble just to avoid seeing how much we love pain and suffering. That's profound.
Y es la manera de poder entender cómo nos metemos dentro de esa burbuja para negar el amor.
But what happens is when the miracle impulse, when it's diverted, okay, and blocking miracles, it creates tension at a subconscious level.
Entonces, cuando hacemos esa interrupción del circuito del impulso de milagros, esa disrupción genera una tensión en nosotros.
So the real beauty, like, of the light circles, and you'll see this, I mean, after a while, I just learned, he would show me how to accept a miracle is releasing all that subconscious tension, and you end up just yawning it out.
Y lo maravilloso de los círculos de luz es que nos podemos dar cuenta de cómo, de que obtener el milagro es simplemente liberar esa tensión que nos está separando del impulso del milagro.
I don't know what could be more gentle than just yawning it out, you know, when he tells you.
No sé qué puede ser más gentil que unirnos para liberar eso.
Sometimes, I mean, he showed me a lot of miracles where they would be instantaneous, you know, where my mind just would, you know, I've talked about some of these where mine would just change. I didn't even know it in a way on a conscious level.
Muchas veces voy viendo milagros instantáneos y ni siquiera sé cómo suceden, pero simplemente suceden y suceden en el nivel subconsciente.
You know, I wasn't even taking the course yet one time.
Una vez ni siquiera estaba haciendo el curso
When
en ese momento.
I told the story before, I was at my aunt had passed away, and I drove up. She was in Minneapolis, and I drove up from Madison, Wisconsin. Drove up there and was at her house.
Y yo lo había contado antes que creo que era mi tía que había muerto y yo estaba manejando hacia su casa.
And I'm looking, you know, looking at things around the house going, I'll never come here again, and I'll never talk to her. And, you know, was starting to go into that, you know, all the pain and suffering.
Y estaba empezando a tener todos esos pensamientos de nunca más. Estaba llegando a su casa y estaba empezando a tener esos pensamientos de nunca más la voy a ver, nunca más la voy a poder hablar con ella. Y estaba empezando a tener todos esos pensamientos de dolor.
But there was something in me. It was a prayer for something different, where I just lay down on the couch.
Y hubo un momento como de oración en mí que estaba en el sofá.
now I can see it clearly in terms of from Jesus's perspective, but at that time, all of a sudden it was like I can see it was a release. It was just a release. And my mind just went, within 30 seconds, it went complete peace on her death, complete.
Y Jesús me mostró en ese momento y fue como en 30 segundos cómo se liberó todo ese dolor y simplemente sucedió.
And sometimes miracles can be like that because we have the power.
Y algunas veces los milagros pueden ser así porque tenemos el poder.
But I learned to trust Jesus. If it was, sometimes it's just, and sometimes I would spend time with him. Okay, and he would show me, and I relish the energy. We talk about relishing. I'd see how much I wanted it. I wanted it more than God.
Porque algunas veces pueden ser así y otras veces uno ve mucho más esos deseos porque puedo ver cuánto estoy disfrutando retenerlo.
I wanted that desired experience. I could just feel the energy of it. It was like everything was that. I wanted to miscreate. I could feel the energy of it coming into awareness.
Y puedo sentir esa energía de ese deseo, de ese disfrute de querer estar teniendo esos deseos de negar el milagro.
But it's just, you'll see, it's very impersonal. It's very neutral. You're just releasing all that subconscious tension from the diverted miracle, and you can actually just relax.
Pero sigue siendo bien impersonal. Es simplemente sentirlo para ir liberando toda esa tensión y simplemente ver cómo se libera y tú te puedes sentar y relajarte.
I mean, I could see it. I've laughed about this before, when you really start looking, you just think it's like, how am I going to get through this? I feel like a twitch machine because every time somebody opens their mouth, I want to kill them. You're just so tense.
Y es como una máquina que nos va mostrando todo lo que vamos sacando y nos podemos poner muy tensos al principio.
I'm asking Jesus, yes. It is not forgiveness. There's so many plays in consciousness below the level of awareness. There's so many of them.
Hay muchos lugares de la mente subconsciente, hay muchos lugares para ver.
The anti-miracle machine.
Es como la máquina de antimilagros.
So it takes a lot for those, if you want to really discover, cease to deny, let's put it this way, happiness is fully, and just be in a state of joy as he promises.
Y para aquellos que lo quieren, se puede ver todo aquello que nos está haciendo negar la felicidad para vivir en gozo, y así es como nos lo ha dicho Jesús.
And I've said this, but I'll say it again. For me, it took a lot of looking, a lot of being coached by Jesus.
Para mí, tuve que ver muchísimo, estuve por mucho tiempo la guía de Jesús.
Consistency of looking.
Con consistencia, te diría disciplina para seguir mirando.
Consistency of following, so that whatever he would tell me to look at, I would just say, yes, Jesus,
Donde sea que Jesús me decía y me dice, mira acá, yo simplemente digo, sí, Jesús.
That's part of the play, to go, Jesus is the boogeyman and I'm not going to talk to him and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's to block being coached with as many miracles as you want, really.
Y a veces que nos ponemos que no voy a hablar con Jesús, es todo parte del juego que nos bloquea para no ser guiados por Jesús.
Okay. Let me see something here. You want to come up here? So, okay, up. Come on up. You want to come up? Up. Come on. Yes. Okay. We got a visitor. Visitor alert.
Okay. Tenemos un visitante.
You have something you want to tell everybody? Innocent?
Que sí hay algo que nos quiera decir el visitante a todos.
He wants to say that when you're looking, be innocent.
Quiere decir que cuando estemos mirando seamos inocentes.
You're innocent, right?
Tú eres inocente, ¿verdad?
Look, remember, you got to be innocent. That is so important. Innocence is so important when this looking.
Ser inocente cuando estamos mirando es muy importante.
It is truly one of the favorite things of the ego to do is to judge the judging.
Y una de las cosas favoritas del ego es juzgar lo no juzgable.
When you're telling Jesus all the problem, you just made it real. He says, do not make it real. Don't make it real.
Y cada vez que le preguntamos a Jesús, Jesús simplemente nos contesta, no lo hagas real, simplemente no lo hagas real.
That's the whole purpose of the light circle, so you can learn not to make it real. Oh, that's there. Okay, neutral. Okay, yes, Jesus. Okay, show me, Jesus. Okay, you can move through these things. Just be will, you know.
Y ese es todo el propósito de los círculos de luz, simplemente verlo ahí y simplemente no tener que vivirlo, sino que lo vemos y lo liberamos.
The other thing he really helped me see, you know, because if we're choosing the miracles, he knows what order, you know, for us to, is this a miracle for me to look? Is this what I'm looking at now?
Y ha sido muy útil para mí porque Jesús nos muestra cuál es el deseo y a qué nivel debemos ir viendo cada deseo.
Because he's reminding me, it takes a while. We're so undisciplined in the mind, you know. So
y Jesús, porque Jesús es el que nos tiene que guiar, porque tenemos una mente muy indisciplinada.
So he'd show me something, and all of a sudden I'd be, you know, you'll see like the ego start throwing stones in the bush and telling you a story about tomorrow and a trip to Aruba and all that stuff, and your mind kind of goes out into the smoke like that.
Y el ego comienza con sus historias que tengo que hacer mañana y empieza con un montón de cosas y empieza a desviarnos de cualquier manera.
But I learned not to judge that. I just I love that Ramana Maharshi teaching. It's a good one.
Y he aprendido a no juzgar eso tampoco.
Okay, it's really a great teaching about innocence.
Y eso es un gran maestro para mostrarnos la inocencia.
It's like people would go to master, I would just I forget who I am, you know.
Es como la gente que y nos recuerda que como
you know,
nos encanta creer que olvidarnos de lo que en verdad somos.
With who am I, you know, because that's a big thing. Jesus has it in a course too. What am I? I'm not a body. I'm not free. What am I? To look back and see, well, you're not a body. Okay.
Y Jesús nos recuerda que vayamos y descubramos lo que realmente somos, porque nos empezamos a preguntar, ¿somos un cuerpo? Y no somos un cuerpo. Y Jesús nos recuerda que no somos un cuerpo.
You know, but it's like I can't stay. You'll hear it in Satsang too. I can't stay. I can see that infinite's here, but I can't stay there.
Y es como poder ver, mira, que está el infinito. Soy el infinito, pero no puedo mantenerme ahí.
Well, it's a desire for something. You are there. You can't leave there.
Es como un deseo de que estás ahí, pero no puedes vivir ahí.
But you can, in the play, is distract yourself through desire to delude yourself and go off in the smoke and mirrors.
Y es como tratar con esta burbuja de ilusión, diluir lo que en verdad somos y estar como como caer en un humo que nos desvía de lo que somos.
So what Ramana ended up saying was that it's like a cow that leaves the barn.
Es como una vaca que se empeña y se va de su finca.
You know, you just go out and you lead it back into where all the sweet hay is, see? And you keep leading it back in. Eventually it figures out all the food's there. Why leave?
Entonces, esa vaca es guiada nuevamente a que vuelva a su lugar donde es un pasto suave y bonito.
So watch your mind and then bring it back to Jesus, see, and to his coaching. And I'd come back to, oh yeah, what were you telling me, Jesus?
Entonces es observar tu mente y pedirle a Jesús, guíame, y decirle a Jesús, ¿qué era lo que me estabas diciendo?
He tells us in the course, your mind's so undisciplined, you know, and he's right. I could, you know, it spins and little stories and all that stuff.
Y Jesús nos lo dice en el curso, que nuestra mente es muy indisciplinada y siempre está como inventando cosas.
Why? Because we like the experience.
¿Y por qué? Porque nos gusta la experiencia.
Okay. But we don't have to choose. That need not be.
Y nos gusta escoger el tratar de no ser.
And through that, again, through the consistency of looking at miracles with him, showing you how you have heaven and hell flipped.
Y con él, con la guía de él, consiguiendo los milagros, es que podemos ir viendo cómo vamos bajando el tamaño de la burbuja.
You know, over and over again, it's like riding a bike. You start to learn how to talk to him, ask him for help. You can tell you still got that. It's like, Jesus, I think I still have that energy down there, that tension from denying myself love. And he'll tell you directly, yes, you do, or don't, don't look anymore. You're done. You follow him 100%.
Y es tener la consistencia de preguntarle una y otra vez. Es como aprender a montar bicicleta. Primero aprendes, después vas manejando, después vas siguiendo, empiezas a escucharlo, empiezas a preguntarle hasta que ya te acostumbras a escucharlo constantemente.
It's instructive when you see how much you do not want to have a shred of a miracle. It was instructive for me. It was like, I don't want one shred of a miracle on that, do I, Jesus? And you go, nope.
Y es saber escuchar cuando de verdad estamos viendo cómo negamos obtener el milagro y Jesús nos los dice y decimos, no, yo no estoy negando el milagro.
Just until the point where I'm like finally willing to admit the world does not work and the only thing worth having is miracles. They become, for me, they become the number one value. Here's my value. Nothing's more important to me than a miracle. And that's where the mind and collaborate and his voice. Oh, there's so much love in it.
Y es poder recordar que I'm sorry, Kate, can you repeat it? I forgot the first part. I'm very sorry.
His voice become the most important things and became the most important things to me.
Y es escuchar la voz de Jesús, que es tan amorosa y que tomo conciencia de que es lo más importante para mí.
You know, and being so determined, it's like, I'm going to get every miracle. I'm going to see what this freaking A Course in Miracles, is this true? I'm going to find out. You got to lock down on that. I'm going to see. That's why I kept asking, where's that supreme happiness, Jesus?
Y es estar decidida 100% a obtener los milagros y decirle a Jesús, muéstrame dónde estoy suprimiendo la felicidad, Jesús.
Because of all the subconscious content for a long time, there's a lot of looking involved. He talks about the borderland. There's a lot of looking.
Porque hay mucho que ver en la mente subconsciente. Hay mucho que ver allí.
See, we've tricked ourselves, but we won't fully trust the one that transcended already, that could get us out quickly.
Porque como que nos engañamos a nosotros mismos y no queremos terminar de confiar en el que ya curó completamente su mente para que nos guíe a hacerlo tal como él lo hizo.
Look, you can ask him if the ego would rather duke it out with him than accept the miracle. And does it relish getting in a fight with trying to duke it out with Jesus? It loves that.
Y simplemente pregúntale a Jesús que cuánto disfruta el ego negar los milagros.
So the point where the mind goes really neutral, like, okay, I see it, don't add anything else to, the ego's going to judge it. No, don't make it real. Jesus says that.
Y es como el ego puede empezar a enjuiciar lo que sea y simplemente escuchamos a Jesús nos va a decir, sé neutral y no lo hagas realidad.
Jesus, show me. And then just be coached until you're whistle clean. You want to be whistle clean on miracles.
Y es simplemente que le preguntemos a Jesús todo y Jesús va a limpiar completo para obtener el milagro.
It's just instructive too when you're, someone would be telling a story. It was for me. See, every time something arises, so I just learned from it. So someone's telling all this story, and then Jesus would say, they'd be saying, okay, here's what the problem is.
Y Jesús nos va a mostrar, aquí es donde está el problema.
It's this, and this, and this.
Y es esto, esto y esto.
And so, but what had happened is I had learned in my mind to go to him right away and say, you'll see it yourself. It saves so much time. I go, Jesus, where's the miracle? You know, what's the desire down there? What's the desired experience it's generating? Yes, here's the story, but the story supports the desire for an experience.
Entonces le pedimos a Jesús que nos muestre qué es lo que está debajo de toda la historia, porque toda la historia está soportada por un deseo de tener esa experiencia.
Okay, and miracles occur at the level of desire. It's at the wanting.
Y los milagros ocurren en el nivel del deseo.
It's the wish. See, we've got to clear out the fact that we're wishing for something other than God.
Ocurren en el lugar donde nos damos cuenta de que tenemos un deseo distinto a experimentar a Dios.
And then he told me immediately, no, it's a desire for a feeling of out of control, an out of control experience.
Y ahí en ese momento podemos escuchar claramente a Jesús diciéndonos, es que tienes el deseo de estar fuera de control. Es el deseo de tener una experiencia de estar fuera de control.
I wouldn't have gotten that. You know, it's here's this big story. What is it really? No, it's a desire for this. And he'll go, here it is right here. That's what we want. If we want the fast way, we want the one who can put his finger on what desire we have. Where do we need that miracle?
Y es ir directamente ahí al deseo para que nos lleve al lugar donde obtenemos el milagro y no quedarnos pegados en la historia.
And then let him guide us through it.
Y dejar que nos guíe a través de todo esto.
The big impediment to miracles is not knowing, being totally oblivious to where we don't want them.
Uno de los grandes impedimentos para obtener el milagro es que podamos no concientizar que queremos negarlo.
Where in our mind, you know, in the mind, we're denying ourselves miracles.
En qué lugar de nuestra mente queremos negarnos a nosotros mismos el milagro.
So it feels good to, you know, maybe open this up and have some shares of those that are starting to talk to Jesus. What are you learning about why some miracles don't seemingly be a little bit different from others, and how Jesus is changing your mind?
Y podemos compartir cómo estamos queriendo negar los milagros y cómo Jesús nos ha guiado para cambiar nuestra mente.
Does anyone want to share?
Si alguien quiere compartir.
Their experience being coached by Jesus and how he really helped them see where they didn't want miracles, where they're blocking their own miracle.
De cómo Jesús nos ha guiado a obtener un milagro y cómo nos guió al ver el lugar donde estábamos bloqueando el milagro.
Go, Mary, go. Oh, and David's next. Okay, we'll do Mary. This is really good. This is beautiful. Let's see.
Vamos a comenzar con Mary y luego David.
Oh, there you are. Pretty good. Pretty good. Not too bad.
Sí. Okay.
And so, let me make this spotlighted so everybody can see you. It won't be the size of an insect. Okay, now we can see her.
So in my journaling recently, Jesus has been telling me that I don't think I'm capable of having a miracle.
Recientemente he estado escuchando que no soy capaz de obtener los milagros.
That I think I don't have the ability to accept a miracle.
Y he estado pensando en que yo no tengo la habilidad de aceptar los milagros.
It seems intractable.
Que es no obtenible por mí.
Yeah, really, like there's no way through it.
Como si no hubiese manera de obtenerlo.
And what he's been showing me and looking directly with him at miracles
Y Jesús me estaba mostrando y he estado siendo guiada directamente por Él, que los milagros,
if I can totally quiet my mind and not know anything,
que si puedo limpiar completamente mi mente y aceptar que no sé nada
uh, and ask him to show me,
y pedirle a Él que me muestre,
he comes through.
Él me lo muestra.
It's really quite amazing.
Y es simplemente asombroso.
So this morning I was looking at the desire that I do not have the ability to accept miracles.
Entonces esta mañana estaba viendo el deseo de creer que no sé aceptar los milagros.
And what he was showing me then, after looking for a while,
Y lo que Él me estaba mostrando después de estar mirando por un tiempo
is that I found a lot of pleasure in saying no to God.
es que tenía un gran placer por decirle no a Dios.
Now, that's not something you just kind of know about yourself. Oh, yeah, I would be enlightened. No, I don't want to have anything to do with God.
Y es algo que no sabemos conscientemente de nosotros mismos, algo así como que decir, no, yo no quiero nada con Dios.
It really takes a lot of willingness and humility to just say, I really am clueless about all of this.
Y es necesario tener como mucha calma y estar abierto a ver y mucha humildad para poder ver lo que está debajo de todo esto.
Because that's the only way my mind will accept what he has to say.
Porque esa es la única manera que mi mente puede aceptar lo que él tiene para decir.
So I really had to laugh when he got to the point where I was willing to hear that I really relished the power of saying no to God. I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Y fue bastante asombroso cuando, y me empecé a reír cuando vi que estaba diciéndole a Dios, no, de verdad, no tengo nada que hablar contigo, no quiero que me digas nada tampoco.
And he's shown me that with this recognition, with the laughter, not only with myself, but with my mighty companions,
Y él me mostró que cuando empecé a reírme de esto, no solo para mí, sino para mis compañeros.
with the laughter, I really get that I didn't get it, that I haven't been getting it.
Y con la risa mostré que no ya lo estaba entendiendo.
And when he hits the nail on the head, I just have to laugh.
Y que cuando vea algo así, simplemente me tengo que reír.
Because then I get it.
Porque ahí es cuando ya lo acepto.
And all the other stuff just falls away.
Y todas las otras cosas simplemente se liberan.
Take it away, David.
Yeah, we want a little bit of sunshine on Mary. Lights going up alert. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mary. It's beautiful.
Gracias, Mary, fue maravilloso.
Coming back around, and I want to go back over and see. We have not worked out the technical details on this, David, but I'm going to try and see if they'll co-spotlight us.
That worked
Did it work?
for me.
Está hablando de temas técnicos ahorita.
So we're learning at the same time we're doing this. David, are there two spotlighted, me and you?
Yes.
All right, it worked. Hallelujah chorus. Okay. Thank you, Mary, by the way.
Algo tecnológico funcionó.
Because look, it takes a lot of looking and a lot of willingness to hear Jesus at that level and see how much you don't want miracles. But let me tell you, you'll be ridiculously happy. You will, because you'll know he's the one who's going to get you out of there.
Se necesita mucha, estar muy pendiente y estar muy abierto para escuchar cómo nos decimos que, mira, Jesús, de verdad no quiero ningún milagro, y aceptarlo para que Jesús nos siga guiando y poder obtener el milagro.
So thank you, Mary. David.
Gracias, Mary.
One. So I want to echo what Mary just said on being clueless, because I can see how I've tried to figure out how I have figured out how to do this.
Quiero compartir algo parecido a lo que compartió Mari de aceptar que, admitir ante Jesús de cuando no tenemos ni idea para ser guiados,
But what
para que
I'm
sea Jesús el que nos guía.
what I'm realizing is sometimes there are difficulties in receiving the miracle.
Porque me he dado cuenta que hay algunas veces que no, se nos hace difícil recibir el milagro.
And what you said early is the importance of admitting I don't know where I am denying.
Y lo que estaba diciendo de lo importante que es admitir de que no sé dónde lo estoy negando.
And then it hit me that what you said is that the ego is fighting every single miracle.
Y me llegó cuando dijiste que el ego está peleando cada milagro.
And then it also hit me how I really need to join with Jesus, like in such a committed way.
Y me llegó lo importante que es de unirme a escuchar a Jesús de una manera bien comprometida.
I mean, this is like an epiphany for me tonight.
Es como una epifanía para mí esta noche.
I need to talk with him before I start, the light circle.
De lo importante que es para mí unirme en el círculo de luz.
And just tell him I'm clueless. I don't know how to do this. Show me, and I want it.
Y decirle simplemente, mira, no tengo ni idea, guíame y unirme a hacerlo.
So, I can see how I have not been doing that and just going in and trying to be serious throughout, but I just really need to get committed ahead of time.
Y puedo darme cuenta de que sí me he estado uniendo, pero necesito realmente comprometerme para obtener el milagro.
And, you were talking about tension, and then you were also talking about he'll show you if you're not ready where you need to go or whatnot.
Y también estuviste hablando de cómo se genera esa tensión y cómo queremos negar el milagro y cómo el ego lo hace.
But for me, all I know is if I'm not ready, he just gives me more tension. The relish.
Pero para mí es darme cuenta que si no estoy listo es simplemente porque estoy generándome más tensión.
I don't always hear specificity on what it is or where it is. It's just more tension to look at.
Y simplemente el no saber dónde está es que hay más tensión que se necesita ver para liberar.
So I'm assuming that's okay, and I'm not judging myself for not hearing.
Y asumo que simplemente está bien y no voy a juzgarme a mí mismo por no escuchar.
Sometimes I'll hear his voice, sometimes I won't, but I'll always feel the tension.
Algunas veces puedo escuchar la voz y otras veces no, pero es importante ir liberando la tensión.
You mean the releasing of the tension, or he shows you the wanting of it?
Well, when it releases and I ask, am I ready for a miracle?
Que le pregunta si se está refiriendo a el sentir la tensión o el ver el deseo por esa tensión. Y David le dice el ir liberando esa tensión.
Instead of hearing no, I just feel another wave of tension hit me.
Y cuando Jesús me dice, cuando veo que no estoy listo para obtener el milagro, simplemente al terminar de liberar una tensión, puedo ver cómo hay más tensión en otro lugar para seguir viendo.
So it's not really the words. And then if I am ready, I don't really hear a yes. I just feel a huge smile in me.
Y no es simplemente una palabra que escuché de Jesús. Cuando estoy realmente listo, Jesús simplemente me sonríe.
But I think because the ego gets vicious,
Pero creo porque el ego es vicioso.
The time that I spent at the devotional center, the ego came on strong to try and, block me.
Porque durante el tiempo que he estado en el centro, el ego ha tomado fuerza para bloquearme.
So it seemed like it was getting more difficult, but I just have to continue seeing the innocent and just staying committed on the path.
Y pareciera haber empezado a ser más difícil, pero simplemente es mantenerme enfocado en lo que estoy haciendo y continuar en ese camino.
So that's my share.
Ese es mi compartir.
It's very interesting that, we're just learning to tune in. And like David's saying, it's just have it be neutral and be willing to be shown.
Es muy interesante lo que acaba de compartir David. Es en relación a mantenernos neutral y que se nos sea mostrado lo que necesitamos ver.
And I can see how in the beginning, sometimes it's helpful to be specific and know what it is. And it helps with the depth of the collaboration with Jesus. I could see that, it was like a back and forth for me to learn to speak with him. And what about this? And let me understand, it was really helpful.
Y al principio recuerdo que para mí había muchas dudas en cómo unirme a Jesús.
And then as that trust built with him, I saw that it did kind of go almost, and I had the willingness. It would almost sometimes be like that. It would just be something he would show me. I had so much trust and willingness that it would just come to the surface. We could call it that way. It's no longer buried energetically, and it comes almost into the light just to dissipate like that. And I didn't have to know anything about it because the willingness was there, that was no longer a treasure and valued in my mind.
Okay. Y cuando ya comencé a confiar en él y empecé a hacerlo, pues es cuando empecé a experimentar cómo simplemente salía toda esa energía y se liberaba completa.
And it almost comes like, I don't know if this is what David you're describing, but as you've worked with him a bit, but it's almost like jujitsu miracles because Jesus, is it there? Yes, no. It would be like this. Yes, no. Is there more to see? Yes, no. And you just get on with it, or suddenly he would say a desire and I'd be in my awareness. Oh, I got to release that, and it come up and be released. So,
y puedo entender lo que está diciendo David porque empiezas a acusar, Jesús, estoy listo para el milagro, puedes escuchar sí, no, y estás en esa duda hasta que ya llega un momento en que puedes estar realmente pendiente de lo que estás observando y se libera completamente toda esa duda.
So great question too. I'd always ask him, is there everything gone? I would check in with them. So to make sure it was squeaky, I had 100% cleared, been willing to have that clear from my subconscious mind.
Y por eso es bien importante hacerle la pregunta a Jesús de si hay algo más que ver, si está liberado completamente el deseo
And
para de verdad tener el milagro.
Be willing, Jesus, is there more to see? Yes or no.
Y estar abierto a preguntarle a Jesús y a ver si debemos ver algo adicional.
And then of course at the end, has the healing, if I needed to, I mean, if you told me there's none, we're done. But sometimes you're going to ask, has the healing occurred? That's the most important thing. Have I completely healed that? Yes or no?
Y preguntarle a Jesús, ¿sané completamente esto? ¿Sí o no? Eso es lo más importante.
So that's, really beautiful. It might appear in slightly different ways for different beings, but as long as we're in that touch point with Jesus, has the healing occurred? Have I completely released this? And we're in full honesty with him. It's helpful.
Y es de mucha ayuda hacer esa pregunta a Jesús directamente. Jesús, sané completamente este deseo, liberé todo lo que estaba allí. Es de mucha ayuda.
And then at the center, you see, you have other brothers who've really been working to clear the mind. And then we'll go to each other and, you can go to each other and say, what do you hear from Jesus? Is that cleared out of is that cleared? It's helpful. The ego wouldn't want to
Mm.
do that. But if you really want them squeaky clean, you're going to check in with somebody who checks in with Jesus to confirm, is that clear yet?
Incluso con compañeros del centro, confirmar y verificar y preguntar con esos compañeros preguntarle a Jesús si de verdad está completamente limpio ese deseo, está liberado completamente lo que retenía ese deseo.
But what I really hear that's key, David, and we, love, it was wonderful having you here, is that dedication. I'm getting my miracle. You're going to get the most out of it if you go, no matter what, he's given me assignment, I'm going to take it on full and I'm going to get my miracle, and we accept our function in the atonement.
Y es maravilloso tenerte aquí, David, en el centro, porque esa constancia, ese compromiso, esa determinación para obtener el milagro, pues Jesús da el milagro.
So, Kay, quick question.
Que hay una pregunta.
You've talked a lot about underlying beliefs for a desire and secondary gain.
Mm-hmm.
Estuviste hablando bastante de la ganancia secundaria por debajo del deseo.
Which can make it more difficult to release a desire to the miracle.
Y que hace que sea más difícil liberar el deseo.
Is that, in essence, the same as the ego trying to make us believe that receiving a miracle is hell?
Eso tiene relación con que creamos que obtener el milagro es el infierno.
Yes, we didn't use specifically the secondary gain this time, so I'll just say the secondary gain meaning that there's some kind of little secret bonus that the ego thinks it's getting by not getting a miracle, like somehow heaven lies in not getting the miracle.
Ese es el juego, eso es parte del juego del ego, esa ganancia secundaria es parte del juego del ego para mantenernos diciendo que el cielo no es lo que realmente queremos.
And what David's pointing is the exact challenge with miracles, that there's some kind of belief that not getting a miracle, that peace or happiness or the ego's version of it or power can be gotten by keeping the ego, what the ego wants to do down there.
Y el ego nos quiere mantener en su versión de felicidad, de paz o de gozo, queriéndonos hacer ver de que esos deseos nos mantienen en esa versión del ego de paz, felicidad, etc.
So we use that term that David's referring to, secondary gain, the secret little gain. Like on the surface, we go, oh, this pain is painful and I don't want to have it anymore. And then underneath the ego is little Gollum going, this is fantastic, this pain. It's a lot of pleasure in that pain down there.
Y esa ganancia secundaria es, por ejemplo, cuando estamos teniendo una experiencia de, esto es muy doloroso, esto es horrible, pero el Gollum del ego por debajo está, esto es delicioso y me encanta.
So that secondary gain that he's pointing to is where heaven and hell are flipped in the mind. And you can ask Jesus about it. What do I think I'm getting, or that part of me, the ego, think it's getting that's a benefit by not having this miracle?
Y en ese lugar de esa ganancia secundaria es donde nuestra mente tiene esa mezcla, de esa confusión del cielo por el infierno, y es donde preguntamos de qué es lo que está ganando el ego para mantener ese deseo ahí retenido y negar el milagro.
And that is indeed the very thing that makes miracles some seem more difficult than others. That's hidden secondary benefit, secondary gain that is misperceived as valuable below the level of awareness.
Y es esa ganancia secundaria del ego lo que nos hace creer que hay unos deseos más difíciles de obtener que otros.
Did that seem to cover your question, David?
It did. Thank you.
Thank
¿Eso
you.
responde a tu pregunta, David? Sí, gracias.
It's really profound to be coached by Jesus. We're so blessed.
Es muy profundo ser guiados por Jesús. Es una bendición.
But you know, this whole approach of talking directly to him, it's, you know, it's the ego's not going to be, you think ego's going to go and just roll over and think it's, oh, this is a fantastic idea. You know, this is such a fantastic idea to look this directly. The ego's going to try to run the other way. You got to stand into it, really.
Pero el ego nunca es una bendición ser guiado por Jesús, pero el ego nunca va a ir así como que, oh, qué maravilloso ser guiado por Jesús. Nunca va a estar, siempre va a querer ir al lado opuesto.
We have a little, in the part of the 90 Days with Jesus program, there's a great little video, and it depicts perfectly how the ego is going to act when it gets close to talking to Jesus.
Y en el programa de 90 días se explica perfectamente cómo el ego hace que queramos ir al lado opuesto de lo que nos dice Jesús.
It's a little series of videos of dogs going to the vet, and it's exactly how the ego is going to behave.
Hay varios videos que explican cómo el ego se va a comportar.
Yeah. It's going to hide under the couch. It's going to go run. It's going to, you know, tear up the couch. It's
El ego va a esconderse atrás del sofá, va a salir corriendo o va a hacer cualquier cosa.
It wants to discuss A Course in Miracles more than it wants to talk to Jesus.
Va a querer discutir mucho en relación al curso de milagros más que hablar con Jesús.
It wants to have discussion groups. A Course in Miracles, you ask Jesus if that's most helpful to heal your mind, or is it more helpful to learn how to talk to him directly and be coached to miracles?
Porque el ego va a querer tener grupos de cursos de milagros y hablar del curso de milagros. Y es importante preguntarle a Jesús, Jesús, ¿es esto realmente lo que necesito para sanar mi mente o ser guiado por Jesús? ¿Qué es lo que realmente debemos valorar?
But for those who are willing, and you want the rocket ship, and I'm calling it that specifically, Jesus is calling it that. If you want to quit thinking around in consciousness, quit thinking around with pain and suffering, and you want to clear and see that you are entitled to miracles, jump a join with Jesus.
Y Jesús te va a decir que si quieres ese cohete para sanar tu mente y para aliviar el dolor y el sufrimiento y todas esas cosas, pues simplemente únete y escucha la guía de Jesús.
And take out that miracle worksheet and just, you know, go down and just do exactly that miracle worksheet. It tells you exactly how to talk to him, exactly how to be coached by him.
Y simplemente toma la hoja de trabajo de guía para que seas guiado por Jesús y Jesús te va a guiar perfectamente para liberar todos esos deseos.
It is 100% A Course in Miracles. There's nothing outside of the Course in Miracles that we're talking about.
Y es 100% lo que nos dice el curso de milagros. No es nada distinto a lo que nos dice el curso.
He wrote the book. He's the one that has to guide all miracles.
Él escribió el libro y él es el que nos guía a todos los milagros.
The whole purpose, 100% of the Course in Miracles, is to get in a collaboration with Jesus on miracles. Why not? Curriculum,
Y todo el propósito del curso es que seamos guiados a los milagros. El currículo, bueno,
it's obvious.
Dios.
It's so obvious to me now, but boy, I was kind of oblivious for that. But you start where you can go, and you just be willing to have your mind changed.
Es muy obvio para mí en este momento, es muy obvio para mí ahora, es tener nuestra mente abierta para que sea cambiada.
Anyone else want to share their experience talking to Jesus and being coached to miracles?
¿Alguien más quiere compartir cómo ha obtenido milagros o cómo ha sido guiado por Jesús?
Or have any questions about being coached?
¿O tiene alguna pregunta de cómo ser guiado?
Because you'll see over time, you see your mind will just, you'll just see the love that comes from immediately a thought of Jesus. You know, it says it in A Course in Miracles, but it's a thought of God to think of Jesus.
es una manera de que podamos irnos acercando, que podamos experimentar acercarnos a Dios a través de la guía de Jesús.
And you just kind of, you get in a groove with them, it becomes very almost, for the experience here, it became like transactional. It's just after a while, it doesn't even hardly take words. I mean, other than ask them, is this it? And you don't have to know anything about what you're clearing, and because you don't understand it anyway. The ego thinks it has some kind of big idea of where the mirror, it doesn't. It's so interesting. There's no way within the ego thought system to know where miracles are needed. It can't. It's impossible, because the ego is the whole tired denial of the miracle.
Es imposible que el ego sepa dónde, nos diga dónde estamos negando los milagros. Es imposible que el ego nos guíe a que liberemos los deseos para tener los milagros, porque el ego completo es simplemente una negación a los milagros.
I'm just asking Jesus. So it's the whole point of Course in Miracles. For those that want complete supreme happiness, they want to experience and detonate A Course in Miracles. Is it essential that they talk to you, yes or no?
Y es simplemente ser guiados por Jesús y preguntarle, Jesús, ¿dónde estamos negando, suprimiendo, negando la felicidad? Y es ser guiados por Jesús y simplemente eso.
I hear yes. What do you hear? Yeah, Elena hears yes. And
Y le preguntamos a Jesús sí o no, perdón. Y escuchamos que sí.
That is another really important thing about this. We have a ghost in the house or something. We have stuff on. It's okay. Okay. Yeah, we just were hearing some odd sounds. We don't know where they're coming from. Is that you speaking, Jesus? No, he says no. Okay. This is really, really important to understand about the value of brothers.
Y es muy importante entender el valor de los hermanos.
Is that in being with the mighty companions that are devoted to hearing that voice 100%.
Y es muy
invaluable.
importante ver lo valioso que es estar con nuestros compañeros para estar determinados a conseguir la sanación de la mente.
Because a purified mind, someone said in a forum, oh, you can't go to your brother to hear the guidance for you. That's not true.
Porque para sanar nuestra mente, alguien dijo que tú no puedes ir a tu hermano para sanar tu mente, pero eso no es verdad.
The Spirit will speak to you through your brother if you're willing to hear it.
Porque el Espíritu va a hablarte a través de tu hermano si tú estás abierto a escucharlo.
And guidance is for the whole. So that means those with a purified mind are going to all hear the same thing about what guidance is. It's not personal guidance. It's not individual guidance.
Porque no es una guía individual, es una guía para todos.
It's, you might, okay, David's going to get on a plane and fly to Miami. Okay, let's just say that guidance comes through.
Porque, por ejemplo, vamos a decir que David está tomando un avión y está volando hacia Miami.
So David's the one that takes the flight, but everyone willing who has a purified mind is going to hear that the guidance is for David to go to Miami.
Pero todos los compañeros, todos vamos a escuchar que la guía para David es que él viaje a Miami.
I don't know why he's talking. Well, I'll just talk about it because he's talking about there is no my guidance. It's guidance for the whole, and there's one mind in it. So as the mind purifies, you're going to hear it.
Porque no es una guía para mí, es una guía para el todo. Y cuando se empieza a purificar, simplemente la empiezas a escuchar.
So that's why on these things sometimes say, oh, what are you hearing, Lena? What are you hearing, Mary? Because it's our function as your mind purifies is to be hearing these things together.
Y por eso es que yo le pregunto, ¿qué estás escuchando, Mary? ¿Qué estás escuchando, Lina? Porque a medida que vamos limpiando nuestra mente, estamos escuchando todos esa guía.
So I went to Jesus. Jesus, how does this relate to miracles?
Y ahí le pregunto a Jesús, Jesús, ¿esto está relacionado a los milagros?
So it's like at the center, we can ask together, okay, has that fully cleared my mind? See, because we're going to hear it. That's part, has this fully cleared? You want to know 100% if the thing is gone or is the devil still dancing in there?
Y debemos preguntarle todos juntos a Jesús, y le pregunto a Jesús, Jesús, ¿está completamente limpio este deseo? Porque, si el diablo sigue ahí jugando con nosotros.
But the ego doesn't want to hear that. It wants to hear that I have my guidance and I want to hear Jesus for myself.
Pero el ego no quiere escuchar eso, el ego quiere escuchar su propia guía y quiere negar a escuchar cualquier otra guía.
Okay. But the ones who's saying that is coming from the forked tongue. It's not the part of you that really wants to hear the voice and can hear the voice, because the ego can't hear the voice.
Pero hay que tomar conciencia que tú puedes escuchar la voz, pero el ego no puede escuchar la voz.
It just knows, it's just in the play of the game, it knows something is there to threaten it.
Porque en el juego de la conciencia hay siempre un deseo de estar como engañándonos.
Okay, so David, do you have a question? Add spotlight.
Okay, it's just about the personal guidance versus the guidance for everyone. So
Sí, tengo una pregunta en relación a la guía personal o la guía para todos.
So yesterday on my way home, when I had a stop at the Dallas airport,
Ayer cuando estaba volando hacia mi hogar y hice la parada en el aeropuerto de Delaware, Dallas, perdón.
I asked Jesus, should I eat here? No. Should I go in this store? No.
Y le pregunté a Jesús, ¿debo comer aquí? Y me dijo, no. ¿Debo ir a esta tienda? Y me dijo, no.
Should I call and reinstate my car insurance for tomorrow? Yes.
¿Debo llamar y renovar la póliza de seguro de mi carro? Sí.
Where should I eat? Keep walking.
¿Dónde debo comer? Sigue caminando.
Should I eat here? Yes.
¿Debo comer aquí? Sí.
So that certainly seemed like personal guidance to me.
Eso para mí es como una guía personal.
But it's not personal, because guidance is impersonal. It's not for the person.
Pero no es personal porque la guía es impersonal.
So that means that we'd all hear it. The purified mind will hear it.
Eso lo que quiere decir es que la mente purificada puede escucharlo. Todos podemos
The
escucharlo.
question is asked, does David eat inside there? Because guidance is for the whole, it would be heard, in a purified mind would hear it.
Porque la guía, a pesar de que haya sido para el lugar donde David iba a comer, puede ser escuchada por todos y es una guía para todos, es para la mente purificada.
Well, you might not have to be totally purified, but your brothers would hear it.
Puede no estar totalmente purificada, pero tus hermanos pueden escucharlo.
Those that are devoted to truth could hear whether which shops you're to buy in and whether you're to eat and where to go and all that stuff. That's the ego doesn't want, yeah.
Y puede ser para cualquier cosa, puedes comer esto o puedes ir a esta tienda, lo que sea, es para todos.
This is deep. This is really deep, because the ego is not like this. It likes to think that, okay, I have guidance and I hear it for me and it's for me. It is in a way for you, but it's not for you, because you're doing something that's transcending the person. And so what transcends the person to heal the mind is going to be known by all those who want a healed mind.
Y es un juego del ego hacernos creer que esta guía es para la persona, pero no tiene nada que ver con la persona. La guía es de todos y para todos. Y es un juego del ego que nos trata de hacer creer que es para mí y solo para mí.
So there isn't,
Es
I
algo
know
que trasciende a la persona.
hard to explain that, but it just, because you hear the voice is not going to say, the voice is, there's one voice. And so the voice is not going to say to Bob, David, eat at McDonald's. No, the voice is, everyone who has a purified mind, when your mind's purified, is going to hear where David's to go eat. The ego doesn't like this at all, but I'll tell you, it's exactly how it works. When you're talking to Jesus, he's not going to have 5 different people hearing 5 things for David, because the reason you have 5 different ones is there's some kind of personal desire under those things that are driving what to say. But when your mind's purified and you got no personal investment and your only interest is in healing the mind, you know, and you're 100% into healing the mind and what heals the mind, you will hear seemingly for other beings, but you'll hear what's most helpful for healing the mind. And that includes where David goes for lunch. If in, you know, I'm just, I don't know, I'm not going to be like that. It's just the way it works.
Okay, porque es una sola mente, es una sola voz la que va guiándonos a todos, y esa voz puede estar guiando a David dónde comer, o a Tom ve y come en McDonald's o lo que sea, pero es una sola mente de una sola voz que se está purificando.
Because there's no separate minds, there's one mind.
Porque no son mentes separadas, es una sola mente.
So that's why we do a lot of joining here at the center, to hear Jesus on what's most helpful for healing the mind. And you'll do it, Living Miracles the same way. They recognize the same thing, that it's helpful to join with brothers and have pure and just have clear hearing what's most helpful. It seems to be for individuals, but it's for the whole. It's for what's most helpful for healing the mind. And that there's only one instruction on that.
Y, por ejemplo, para eso está el centro donde nos unimos todos para sanar la mente, y no es para algo personal. Todo lo que sucede acá es para toda la mente, para la mente, que es de la misma mente para todos, no solo para los que estamos acá.
Because the ego likes autonomy, so it likes to think what I decide to do is the thing to do, you know, so I get to decide it, you know, that's how it keeps its autonomy. But if when the mind's purified, really purified, and you're hearing the voice for God is not going to be telling Tom and so and so and so and so and so and so a different thing for healing the mind. In terms of, if you ask the question, we do that a lot here. Well, I'll use Maria as an example, because she just was amazing with her trust in her brother.
Acá preguntamos mucho a todas las cosas a Jesús, y voy a poner el ejemplo como María, porque ella es un buen ejemplo de cómo confiar en tu hermano.
Let me tell you, this will bring you deep into the mind and healing the mind, but boy, the ego won't like it. But I'm just going to tell you anyway.
Y ir profundo para sanar nuestra mente no es algo que le guste al ego, por supuesto.
But, you know, so I had kind of heard, oh, I think I'm hearing, you know, from Maria to stay longer. She was wondering if she can straighten me out, but she was wondering if she stayed another month or something at the center.
Porque, por ejemplo, María estaba preguntando si ella debería quedarse un mes más en el centro.
This is a couple of visits ago when she was here.
Eso fue algunas visitas atrás, un par de visitas atrás cuando estaba acá.
And so we prayed on it together. She was willing to have her brothers pray on it and hear what Jesus has to say about that.
Y ella estaba abierta a orar con sus hermanos para escuchar qué tenía que decir Jesús en relación a eso.
And we heard, you know, it was helpful for her to stay, and she did.
Y todos escuchamos que Jesús nos estaba diciendo que iba a ser de más ayuda para ella quedarse, y ella se quedó.
But the ego is going to scream bloody murder over that. You know, it took a lot of, I don't know, spiritual maturity to turn it over like that and really trust your brother listening to Jesus.
Y toma algo de tiempo llegar a esa madurez espiritual que puedes confiar en tu hermano para poder escuchar a Jesús.
But there's so many personal preferences in decision making. You see, that's what makes it hard for most beings to hear the voice, because there's so much subconscious content down there giving all the reasons where to go and what to do and why that's the right thing. It always has whys. Here's why this is a great idea.
Porque a veces bueno, eso es difícil hacerlo porque hay muchos deseos abajo con mucho raciocinio y muchas
But-
explicaciones de por qué negar la guía es una gran idea.
But But if you really look closely and you really want to see it, and you're told something like, you just have to experience it. I guess that's really the only thing I can say about it, because there's really such an objection to in consciousness to seemingly someone telling someone else what to do. But
porque si ves de manera cercana y es como si estuviera alguien abierto a que otra persona le dijera qué hacer.
But you see, when your mind's pure, when you only have one thing, you have one question that you ask Jesus in your mind, and you don't care what it is, you just want to hear what it is. Jesus, what's most helpful for healing the mind?
Pero cuando te unes y estás haciendo una sola pregunta y le preguntas a Jesús, Jesús, ¿cuál es la pregunta más útil en este momento para sanar mi mente?
See, you don't have personal preferences. So whatever Jesus tells me, if I say it, if he tells me, if somebody asks me, well, what do you think you're hearing on Jesus on? Do I go eat here or there?
Entonces tomamos conciencia de que no es una pregunta personal, sino que simplemente es la pregunta que ayude más a sanar la mente.
To be 100% clear on what he tells me to say, well, I'm hearing him say, go to McDonald's.
Y puedo estar claro en simplemente escuchar a Jesús y estar 100% seguro de que si escucho de Jesús decir, ve a McDonald's,
It's hard to explain. That is for me, because it's not for anyone else, whether they go to McDonald's. It's for me to hear the voice and speak the voice.
y eso puedo llegar a pensar que es para mí porque estoy escuchando yo la voz y estoy diciendo yo lo que me dice la voz.
And to be 100% clear on that voice for me about what's most helpful to heal the mind.
Y lo importante es estar 100% seguro de qué debo hacer yo para que sea lo más útil para sanar la mente.
So you would say there's an individual direction for an individual that Jesus would give, but it's going to be heard by anyone who has no personal preference in it. It's going to be the same. It's going to be heard because there's only one instruction that's optimal for healing the mind.
Y puedes llegar a pensar que es algo para la persona, para ti, pero en realidad te está haciendo un mensaje de Jesús, algo que está diciendo Jesús que lo puede tomar cualquiera porque es lo más recomendable en ese momento para la sanación de la mente.
So yeah, it seems individualized, but when it's clear, when guidance is clear, it will be heard. It's when there are no preferences at all, you know, like I'll give you an example too. Here's one,
puede parecer algo individual, pero cuando se
Like-
tiene la claridad de que se está preguntando para qué es para la sanación de la mente, se
So
sabe que es para todos.
I'm asking Jesus to help to talk about it. He says, yes, okay, it's for me. So Living Miracles bought this palace looking place on the hill a couple of miles from here. It's this big white Taj Mahal thing.
Le pregunté a Jesús en relación a un lugar que está a unas millas de acá, algo del Taj Mahal.
And Lisa Fair asked him, well, is Jesus saying we can do that? And David Hoffmeister heard yes.
Entonces pregunté, ¿Jesús es el que nos está diciendo para ir allá? Y David Masterhall dijo que sí.
I don't know what purpose Jesus has for them to have that thing up there, but guess what? I hear it too. That's guidance.
Y yo no sabía la razón para que Jesús nos
I don't
estuviera
know why.
diciendo que de ir para allá o
Sí.
tener eso allí, pero yo
Sí.
escuché también que debía hacerse. Y eso es la guía.
You know, because your mind just tunes into the voice, and the voice is going to tell you in every instance, regardless of the situation, what is most helpful for healing the mind. And somehow that's helpful for healing the mind in a way I can't know.
Y es simplemente estar abiertos a escuchar lo que sea más sanador para la mente.
So yeah, I guess that's all I can say about it. Your mind's purified. It's a consistency. It's if you ask him what's most helpful for healing the mind, he always tells you, and it's for everyone. But it seems like an individual is going to do it. Oh.
Siempre le podemos preguntar a Jesús qué es lo más recomendable para sanar la mente, y podría parecer que es algo que se le está diciendo al individuo, pero no es para el individuo, es para sanar la mente.
But it will strike terror in the heart of autonomy. I don't know if anybody's going to want to talk after this, but it does. Ego, boy, whoo, it smokes over that autonomy. But you start having happiness, so you abandon autonomy for happiness.
Pero cuando empiezas a experimentar la felicidad, empiezas a querer abandonar esa autonomía de tomar tus propias decisiones sin la guía de Jesús.
But if you want to hear, anybody can pull out that guidance worksheet. The challenge guidance is like it's a way of learning how to accept miracles.
La guía de Jesús siempre nos va a llevar a que podamos aceptar los milagros.
Okay, because he's showing you where you need them in your mind.
Porque nos va a enseñar en qué parte de nuestra mente las necesitamos.
So you can use that guidance worksheet. The best thing for guidance, especially, let's just say, now, okay, at some point we can have a satsang or something on this, but boy, it's hard to explain, but there is only guidance for the whole. That is it. There's going to be, no matter what the person is, okay, when your mind has no preferences for anything, see, it's the preferences that make like they're different options, but they're not different options. They're not different options for every different individual. For those that want a purified mind, Jesus's option, go to this store, do this one thing. And so anyone who only hears that voice is going to hear the same thing. It's not going to be different. It's not, but just like I could hear for David, they put that at the top of the hill, because it was guidance, or they bought that at the top of the hill, or whatever. I know whatever guidance is, because I only have interest in knowing what guidance is. I don't have another interest in anything other than that. That's just, yeah. So I just say what I hear. That's all. I don't know. Did that answer it, David?
It certainly did.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
But you hear it too, because we listen together here. So we practice a lot listening together to get tuned into the channel. And we start hearing things together, what's most helpful, and start to listen together, because the antenna is tuned in when there's more of us together to really listen overall what's most helpful for healing the mind. But that's boy, right there, ego just, it wants to take a walk when it hears that. But oh well. I can only say what he tells me. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so grateful. You're going to be happy too. That's what supreme happiness is going to look like. One, no order of difficulties and miracles. If he tells you what's most helpful for healing the mind, it's consistent. He's consistent. It's going to look like it's different individuals, but he's if you're willing to talk to him with 100% purity in your mind, it's not going to be me different hearing what different beings hear. And if there is a twitch about it, then get a miracle. You know, you want to get a miracle, you just want to see where your mind's getting disturbed by some concept in consciousness. And we want to get to the point where your mind's so purified, you're only going to hear that voice. There's no interest in anything else. And then that's happiness, because you're referring back to that voice, which is the symbol of all that you are. Then you're in Holy Communion all the time. God, that's just happiness. And then you're sitting there and you just like a fountain of happiness for no reason whatsoever. Everyone deserves that. Oh, that's a long one, Clarette. So you still there? Clarette.
Okay. Yes. Well, Spanish. Que estaba repitiendo que los deseos no tienen niveles de dificultad, que todos podemos escuchar, y cuando estamos unidos, en relación a lo que estaba preguntando David, ella estaba escuchando a Jesús y le estaba respondiendo, pero le estaba diciendo a David que él también puede escuchar la respuesta y que todos podemos escuchar, porque cuando estamos unidos, todos podemos escuchar, y en cualquier momento podemos escuchar qué es lo que nos recomienda Jesús para sanar la mente, y la guía es para todos. I think that I did a good resume. Okay.
You what?
I think that I did a good resume of the last few sentences that you said. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm
Okay,
just
okay.
asking Jesus if there's anything. I mean, this is the boy. Nothing gets the ego hotter than having some idea. It loves that. It loves like, oh, you can hear Jesus and I can't. It just loves to be mad over that. No, don't even listen to that. Just go, no, I'm determined to hear just for I'm going to hear Jesus. Because I'm going to have the courage to take whatever he's going to tell me.
Y lo importante es que estemos determinados a escuchar a Jesús, tener el coraje para escuchar a Jesús y no dejarnos guiar por la guía del ego de seguir negando la voz de Jesús.
See, when there's just so much happiness in whatever he tells you, you don't.
Y hay tanta felicidad en lo que sea que Jesús nos esté diciendo.
I mean, and there's so much love. You just, every other option gets X mark out of your mind, you know?
Hay tanto, pero tanto amor que cualquier otra opción se vuelve algo X.
Every other option than hearing, you know, being 100%, because there's just, you don't give yourself another option because you don't want another option because you're so ridiculously happy. You know, he knows the way. You're glued.
Cualquier otra opción es simplemente no aceptable cuando estás tan completamente feliz.
And the ego it's good that's why you want to ask Jesus to tell you any place in your mind where you don't want to hear him or be clear on what he says.
Y por eso es que podemos siempre escuchar a Jesús y podemos a limpiar nuestra mente para escuchar claramente lo que él tiene para decirnos.
Because oh my gosh, the ego, it loves nothing better to complain of that. One, it can't hear Jesus, and two, that someone else can hear Jesus. I don't know why it does that, but it does.
Porque no tenemos nada que quejarnos de, por lo menos decir que la otra persona puede escuchar a Jesús y yo no puedo escuchar a Jesús, porque todos podemos escuchar a Jesús.
He's saying it's just one big distraction, you know, just be determined yourself to have your mind 100% purified to hear him 100% of the time. That's all. That's what we got to do.
Jesús nos recuerda que simplemente tenemos que estar determinados a escucharlo y limpiar nuestra mente para poder escucharlo con mayor claridad cada vez.
And the number of times I've just checked in with him, am I hearing you, you know, to confirm, you know, is this what you, because there's so many places of diversions and some kind of personal thing that I never would have seen without him pointing it out to me. No way.
Y siempre voy a Jesús y confirmo lo que Él me está diciendo, porque hay muchas cosas que pueden estar, mucha diversidad que puede distraerme, pero simplemente no hay ninguna otra manera sino escuchando a Jesús.
He literally is going to tell you, I mean, he's told me things more than I want to know. But I need to know because he knows what I need to know. And then I saw, okay, I don't even know
Ujú.
what I need to know.
Y él nos va a decir literalmente, Él me dice más cosas de las que quiero saber, pero Él siempre me
Okay.
va a decir lo que es mejor para mí saber, y me dice todo lo que necesito saber.
This is definitely a deep yogi talk, this back end. This back one with David asking this question, this is really where if you really want to get that relationship with Jesus, you write down with a pen, sit down with a pen and paper and ask him what he's trying to tell you about this, about hearing the voice and how there's only like when your mind's purified, everyone's going to hear the same thing, most helpful in guidance. See,
Y es, por ejemplo, lo que nos estaba preguntando David, que es algo que es ir un poco más profundo, podemos preguntarle a Jesús y tomar papel y lápiz y anotar lo que nos dice y seguir preguntando hasta llegar realmente a la respuesta que Jesús nos quiere dar.
because this is very mission critical. If you really want to learn how to leverage, to really understand the power of mighty companions and what they bring, it's really trying to get to the point where you grok what Jesus is saying about there's only, guidance is always for the whole. There's no personal guidance.
Porque si quieres realmente ver el valor de de unirnos con nuestros compañeros, la manera es uniéndonos y que podamos darnos cuenta de que no hay una guía personal, sino que es una guía para todos.
Someone following something personal is trying to fulfill a fantasy. It's trying to have a desired experience. It's fulfill a fantasy.
Porque tratar de convertir la guía en algo personal es al final el deseo de vivir una fantasía.
And guidance is to transcend the fantasy by showing you, helping you see what is true.
Y la guía es para trascender la fantasía y enseñarte lo que es la verdad.
So to hone in on that voice, you're always honing in on, you're transcending time and space by following that voice. So there's always going to be, and he's going to know what it is, the optimal thing for every being to do to optimally heal the mind. And so it's going to be known. It's because he's going to say everyone's going to hear it who wants to.
Y
Can't
escuchando la guía estás trascendiendo el tiempo y el espacio porque Jesús nos está guiando a que sea la manera más óptima para sanar la mente en su totalidad, para
So
todos los seres, no para alguien particularmente.
I would just sit back on this and just see if it'll detonate and what he's saying about it, or have a direct experience of it so you can see that that's true, that the purified mind is always there's just guidance for the whole. That's all there is.
Es una guía que es para el todo, eso es todo lo que es.
Thank you, David.
Gracias, David.
That was a deep dive, David. Thanks. Love
Eso
you.
fue algo profundo, David, gracias. Te amamos.
Okay, that'll take a while for processing. So much love, though. There's so much love in that when you see it. You see, there's just no preferences. In a healed mind, just it doesn't have preferences. It just knows
Es-
God. You just know God. You just know love. That's all you know.
Eso va a tomar un poco para ser procesado, pero hay tanto amor en darse cuenta en que no hay preferencias, sino que es la totalidad de Dios, ahí es un amor infinito.
You won't, like, and Muji would say, I don't want to know anything. Like, he's like Sergeant Schultz, you know, Sergeant Schultz from, what was that, Hogan's Heroes? He'd go, I know nothing. You don't want to know anything really, other than what, and then you see, you can't know anything other than what Jesus tells you. That's the humor of it. You can't, your mind, it's like, I realize if he doesn't tell me something, I don't know anything. I can't.
Es aceptar que no sabemos nada y sino simplemente seguir la guía
Well,
de Jesús.
and he just said, well, if you did, that would be a denial of happiness. So it denies happiness to know something other than what he tells you.
Y le podemos preguntar si es una negación a la felicidad, es una manera de negar la felicidad, no escuchar lo que Jesús tiene para decirnos.
We're not, and Muji would say this, we're not a container for information. God
No
did not
somos
make
unos,
us a container to hold information.
no
You
somos
know?
unos contenedores de información.
I was a scientist, so I thought my salvation came from how much information I had.
Yo
Okay.
era
How much,
una científica y estaba como
so,
full de toda la información que
oh
tenía.
my gosh, you know, so he's telling me I can talk. So my first job out of graduate school was selling radioactive chemicals in research laboratories.
Mi primer trabajo cuando salí de la universidad era vender radioactivos y productos químicos a laboratorios.
Okay. And so, you know, I'm asking if that was guided. Oh, he says, yes. Okay. So I didn't even know till now if that was guided, you see, years later. But anyway.
Estoy preguntando si eso era guiado y me está diciendo que sí. Y no sabía que eso era guiado, pero bueno, como
But I
sea.
can see I used intellectual information like a freaking weapon to protect myself from love, you know?
Y había cosas que eran simplemente que me hacían pensar que eran necesarias para protegerme del amor.
I'm asking if that was helpful, some helpfulness in there. Yeah, it was, because I was totally stretched outside my comfort zone for sure. But anyway, it was healing because I was outside of my comfort zone. It did stretch me. I'm hearing that, yes. But anyway, the point is we have to see all the places where we're defending. See, defending is denying the miracle.
El punto es que tenemos que ver todos los lugares donde nos creemos estar defendiendo y ver dónde nos queremos estar defendiendo del milagro.
You know, I was using intellect, the intellect of the world and information of the world as a defense to protect myself and keep myself feeling safe in the play.
Y es ver cómo creemos que llenarnos de información puede estarnos defendiendo del amor.
Yeah, you see, he starts giving you the talk. So he's giving me the talk about how I'd use pieces of information. Like if I had a better piece of information, my salvation was in that.
Y le estoy preguntando y me explica cómo creo que con un pedazo de la información es mi salvación. Como un pedazo de información puedo creer que es más valioso que otra y esa sea mi salvación.
I had to learn it wasn't.
Y pude aprender que eso no era así.
That my salvation is in whatever he says.
Que mi salvación está en lo que sea que Jesús me diga.
And that's happiness.
Y así como la felicidad.
So thank you all for being, I mean, we love you. We're grateful. You're so valuable.
Gracias a todos. Todo esto es tan valioso.
When you start seeing how valuable every brother is to the atonement, it's precious.
Cada compañero es tan valioso, es algo realmente precioso.
Much love to all of you.
Mucho amor para todos.
Thank you, Colorette.
No, thank you.
Adios.